If you are in the same business as I am, you probably hear this all the time. I don't know how to sell. I don't know how to sell. Well, in this video, I'm gonna talk to you and I'm gonna break it down exactly what is it that they're saying when they say, I don't know how to sell. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back, everyone. So once again, the purpose of this video is going to be on how to sell. And I'm going to focus really on what I have learned. Again, this is going to be the part 2 of the video that I made last week. So you can find the link down below. But basically, this is a course that I took with Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. So we learned really just about the mindset. And as you already know, in the last video that I created, I talked about how is it that this self-development, or actually alternative learning industry, it stands at about $235 billion right now. It is projected to be $1 trillion by the year 2028. So now you do the math. We're 2022 heading into 2023. $1 trillion, we're 285 billions. That is $715 billion to go, okay, within the next 6 years. So you do the math again, it's probably going to be about $1 billion increase of every single year that we are in this industry, which is the alternative self-development, alternative learning. So in the last video, I really focused on how our system here, at least in our country, here in the United States, it's broken. We have a system where when you graduate high school, which is the equivalent of a college level in anywhere else in the world, you then go to college. But here in the United States, you go to college, you pay for that college. And we're talking about in the tens of thousands, sometimes in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the industry, obviously. But again, a lot of them, I think there was a survey that was done, 60% of them, they don't really stay with the industry that they originally. I'm part of one of them, that I went to school, I studied for culinary, and once I graduated culinary, I've never cooked ever again. Well, I don't want to say ever again, but I never cooked again. I obviously worked at a restaurant for quite a few years until I decided to get into the real estate industry, and now I'm in the financial industry, which now it led me to just pour value to you based on those roads, those struggles that I went through in my own personal life. And so with that was what the course was about with Tony Robbins last week when we talked about. And it's just, the traditional schooling, it's pretty much broken. We all know that. Everybody's looking just like you and me. We're creating content. You're coming onto YouTube, you're coming onto my channel to see what kind of value, how do I present to you some information? How can I enroll you into just learning a little bit more based on what I learned? Because what I am is what I talked about last week. It's a bridge builder. Right? This is life. This is a struggle, right? And so what I want to do is be able to help you create that bridge where I can get you to your goal faster by giving you some of the struggles and some of the experiences that I experienced in my life, because I was there once at one point, and now I'm over here. Now, I'm not saying that I'm better than you in any single way. I'm just saying that I went through it, I experienced it, and I found a way to make it better for myself and for my family. So that was what the last week's video was all about. In this video, I'm going to focus strictly on how to sell. And I'm not talking about, you're going to go to the street and then you're going to go to the store, or you're going to go knock on somebody's doors, although you could do that, because it's really going to be about that. It's going to be about how you can change your mindset into how to be a better salesperson. Okay, so with that, the very first point that I want to touch is being better at selling. Being better at selling is just nothing else than turn it into a service. That's really all it is when you are selling. You are selling a service. Although a lot of the times, and I've done this myself too, I'm guilty of it. Again, everything that I'm telling you, it's because I went through it, and I'm not saying that I have mastered it, although that I just found better ways to get around it that can help me create better results. So once I learned the concept that selling is just nothing more than a service, it was a game changer for me. I learned that, if I can turn it into, rather than me selling you this book, I'm gonna service you by giving you what you want, okay? But I'm gonna do that by giving you what you need, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But again, it's turned it into a service. So I made a video a while back about the paradigm shift on how, the 7 habits. There's a book. It's called The 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. You can read it if you want to, or you can listen it to Audible. But in that book, it talks about changing your paradigm, changing the way you look at things. If I look at a certain thing, from a different angle or a certain scenario, I'm gonna be looking at that, from that perspective. But if I see it from a different perspective, just as selling, if I see it as a service that I'm giving to you by providing value, by getting you what you want, by really giving you what you really need, it's a game changer. So turn it into a service, and marketing is just really something, that you can't wait to do. Because a lot of the times again, as I said at the beginning of the video, in my industry, when I'm recruiting people, the first thing I hear is this a sales industry? And I'm like, well, do you like sales? Well, no, I don't like sales. Well, why not? I'm not good at selling. Well, what if I was to tell you that by you saying, this is exactly what I tell them, that by you saying that I'm not good at selling, guess what you just did? You just sold yourself into the fact that you can't do it, that you can't be in the industry of selling. So my friends, you just sold yourself into saying to you that you can't do it. So you are therefore a good salesperson. Also, a lot of times, we say, I can't do that, I can't do this. That will never be me. You're selling yourself into saying, I can't do it. So therefore, I'm not gonna do it because I know that I'm not gonna be able to do it. So guess what? You're not gonna take action because you already sold yourself into believing that you can't do it. But what if you were able to turn it around and say, you know what? I must find a way. I know that I can find a way. And not worrying about the how, because that's one of the things that I touched last week. The how comes later. Reasons comes first. What's the reason? What's your why? What is it that you want to do? What's your why? Now focusing on how am I going to do this? Because that is what we focus on. Again, that used to be me. When I started this channel, I was focusing on how am I going to do it? I got stuck on it for a long time until I found really my editor who really, broke me out of it. And so it was a game changer for me. But it's really focusing about why and what you want to do. So I invite you to see it like that. The second point is you're going to solve problems. You're a problem solver. When you're selling a service, you got to look at it from the way that I have something, okay? If I sell cars, okay? If I sell cars, I have a service that you need. And so I'm going to solve your problem. How am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? By giving you what you want. What is it that you want? You want a car. Perfect. What kind of car do you want? Well, I want a Toyota Corolla. I want a Tesla. I want this, whatever that budget is for that individual, for that family that they're looking for. Great. I'm going to be of service to you and I'm going to solve your problem. So guess what? I'm going to find you the best deal that I possibly can. Go ahead and take a look at this 2010, Honda Civic. It has so many miles. It's only been owned once, or is it whatever that is, whatever you're looking for. Brand new car, used car. But I'm going to do my best to give you what you are looking for. So I'm going to do that by solving your problems. And I'm going to share a path. Again, like I was telling you earlier, the bridge building that I was telling you, I'm sharing my path. I'm sharing you my failures that I had in life. And not because I'm sharing my failures means that, I have mastered everything. I'm only a human. So I'm only learning with you as you go. That's what I'm doing when I'm selling you a service. I'm sharing a path. Again, it's what they need versus what they want. What is it that they really need? Okay? And I'm going to do that. I'm going to find that out by giving you what you want. Got it? And again, seek to understand. This goes back to the book that I was telling you earlier, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Highly, highly recommended that you read it if you want to put your hands on it. It's a great book, and it's a book that I read actually a couple years ago, and I've actually read it 3 times already. And this is a book that you just don't read one time, okay, and throw it to the shelf. It's a book. It's like a Bible. It's a Bible that you go back and you read it. You read habit number 1, how to be proactive. Being proactive, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Beginning with the end in mind. It's a habit that if you find yourself struggling, that's what I do when and that's one of the habits. I'm not going to give you all the details, but one of the habits is sharpening the saw. I got to get myself better at it. So I go back and review the habits. That's what it is sharpening the saw. So, and we're going to do that by taking an uncomfortable action. An uncomfortable action because nothing is comfortable in this life. Okay. Sometimes when I put on my shoes, it's really uncomfortable. When I get out of bed in the mornings, it's really uncomfortable. So we got to take that uncomfortable action in order for us to push forward and then be able to find that what is it that we want to do. We must take that uncomfortable action. I remember back in my early career of real estate, I knew what I was getting myself into. That is what really helped me. That is what really helped me understand what I was expecting out of this industry. And so I knew that I was going to be making phone calls. And I knew for a fact that I was going to find myself struggling. Maybe I called it into existence, right? Because if I would have said to myself like, hey, I'm gonna be successful and this and that, which it happens all the time. And some people are successful. And the ones that say that and are not successful, guess what happens? They get discouraged because they come in with this high energy, okay? And then if they find themselves, just dipping into this right here, into the struggle line. And then what happens? Some of them get out. A lot of them retreat. That's what we call it in the United States Marine Corps. Retreat. That means you go back. They retreat, they go back. The ones that stay and are able to understand, guess what? They go through the struggle. So now they see a new high, not as high as it was at one point, okay? But they see a new high because there's a mountain of knowledge that you need to learn, but you see a new high. Guess what? You accomplish that, you feel good about yourself. You start producing your results. You know that there's something better out there. Okay, got it. What I got to do next. And then that gives you, that's propelling you forward. That's giving you that boost. That's giving you that feel to continue to push forward. So uncomfortable action, that is what we must all take. That is what I need to take in order for me to achieve the next goal. Again, in sales is a service. It's really nothing else than a service. If you can grasp and you can understand that, it'll be a game changer for me that you're really servicing your community. And then I like to name this board for this specific video, the time to thrive. The time to thrive because there was a saying that I heard not too long ago is, when is the best time to plant a tree? So I'm gonna ask you that. When is the best time to plant a tree? If you know the answer, go ahead and put it on the chat. But the best time to plant a tree, it was 5 years ago. Okay? 5 years ago. But guess what? Now we're here. So what do we do? Well, when is the second time for you to plant a tree? It's now. This is the time to thrive, especially in this industry that is really is going to take off for the next couple of years. It has already. 2009. Nobody really know about YouTube. Guess where it is right now? I'm delivering you this content through YouTube, but it's going to take even better. It's going to go even higher. COVID brought this change to the entire world, and we must take that advantage. We must embrace it, because if we don't, then guess what? We're going to be left behind. We're not going to take that uncomfortable action because we're leaving behind. We're being left behind. I was that person. When we started shifting into the Zoom world. I hated Zoom. I said, no way. I'd rather go in person so that I can learn the most that I can. Actually, when COVID happened, my wife and I were supposed to go to a business mastery with Tony Robbins in Las Vegas. It was supposed to be in August. March came around. You know what happened then. I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna be good to go for August. Up until this day, he has even acknowledged that he has been able to touch more people through the Zoom world, through the internet, what I'm doing with you, because you could be all across the continent. Guess what? I'm gonna reach you through this platform that we have here, through our channel. We're a community that we're interconnected. How do we do that? You leave comments, you subscribe to the channel, you follow us on our social media. This is the time that the world has changed, and we must adapt. We must take that uncomfortable action. We must share with people our struggles that we have been through in life. So this is the time to thrive. Now, I'm gonna get into this right now because I really wanna focus on this, but one of the things that we're doing this for, it's obviously, hey, we're doing it for a better life. Let's just put it out there, okay? You know, when you hear somebody says, well, I'm not doing it for the money, BS. You are doing it for the money. And believe me, I have said that before to people. Yes, you're doing it for the money. And let me tell you why I say that. He said, no, I don't do it for the money. Money's not important. I'm like, really? Yeah, money is evil. Okay, got it. So, do you think that if you had the money, let's say you go on a trip, let's say you go to Cabo San Lucas or Cancun, you go on a trip, you're with your family members, and I say Cabo because I know how the hospitals in Mexico work because my family is from Mexico, and I travel out there, you know, every now and then, so I understand how the system works. They have one of the best systems when it comes to medicine and doctors. But let's just say that you're with your spouse, you have your kids, then something happens to your kid. And he has to go to the hospital. And you get to the hospital and the doctor says, you know what, he has this. So we must operate the procedure right now. We don't take the outside insurance and we only take cash. And here before we operate, before we start with the surgery, you have to pay us, and it's going to be $30,000. If you don't have the money, how are you going to do that? Your child's kids, it's on the line. But if you have the money, and then you can, you know, it's you know what? No problem. Go ahead and charge it because you would do any. Trust me, those of you that have kids can relate to that. You would do anything in this world to protect the lives of your kids. Money at that moment, it's nothing. It doesn't mean nothing because your son's life, your daughter's son life is on the line. So is money evil? Do you think that's evil? I don't believe so. Will it be able to help retire a spouse? I believe so. I don't want my wife to be working anymore. So guess what? Money's going to be able to do that. Money's going to be able to help you achieve the cause that you want most out of life. For me, it's feeding families every Thanksgiving. The more that I have, the more that I can give. The more that I can feed to not just here in the US, but go to Mexico as well. Take boxes and then just give them out. The more money that I have, the more I can do that. The ability to do so. So I don't believe that when you hear that theory, when you hear that mindset that money is evil, you gotta really think about how you gotta change your lens. You gotta change your lens. Because if you're looking at the world from this lens, when everybody else around you is doing so much better, but they don't have those lenses anymore, they upgraded to a better prescription and they have those lenses that they can see the world better, clear, brighter, okay, crisp. They are the ones that are thriving in the world. Why? Because they see those opportunities. That's what entrepreneurs do. Entrepreneurs are able to spot an opportunity and they take that uncomfortable action. They take that sales into a service. That's what they do. So don't fall into that money is evil, because it's not. And you want to work for free either. So next time you hear someone or you find yourself saying, hey, I'm not doing it for the money, I'm just doing it for whatever, you know, really process that. Because if I was to say to you, well, guess what? I'm not going to pay you for this, you know, just doing it for free for the rest of your life. You know, from now on, you're not going to like that. So changing the lens for you to understand that money, it's not evil. Now, when you are in service, you got to create raving fans that, a big example of that is the Oakland Raiders. The Oakland Raiders have the most loyal fans that you will ever find. They're out in Las Vegas right now, and they started off in LA, then they went to Oakland for many years. Now they're in Vegas, but they have the most loyal fans in the world that you can think of. Also the Dallas Cowboys, but the Oakland Raiders are the ones that stand out to me. Because, for example, for me, when the San Diego Chargers were in San Diego, I was a big fan of them. But I was a big fan of the city. I didn't know that. I was a big fan of the city of San Diego, California. Once they moved to Los Angeles, it was like, no, I don't want to do that. So I was not a raving fan. So then that's what I realized. but they're the loyal fans that you'll find in any industry or in any service, just like the Oakland Raiders. Those are the ones that you want to create. You want to create your fan base, your Oakland Raider fan base that are behind you. Not a San Diego Charger fan like me, because they'll leave you, okay, once you change your content, once you say something, which is okay. That is another uncomfortable action that you must understand, that some people are not going to like you. Some people are going to stop unfollowing you. Some people are going to block you from social media. But it's okay. You're not there for them. The way I see it is, I have a message that I have to deliver, and I'm looking for the people looking for me. That's what I'm looking for. I understood that I can't satisfy everybody. If I try to do that, it's like if I try to change the whole world. I can't change the whole world. And that's something that I'm going to touch right now. But you gotta create an irresistible. You gotta give them an irresistible offer, and then you do that by giving them something that I wish I had. What is the one thing that I wish I had when I was younger? Okay. Oh, I wish, for me personally, I remember being a kid. I told a story one time where I grew up. I had my parents, but I didn't really have my mom around. So it was just me and my brother, who was about, maybe at that time he must have been 13 years old, 12 years old. I was probably 6 or 7 years old. I lived in Mexico. My mom was not around. It was me by myself with him. And I used to go to school. I remember, this is in the early 90s, 1991, 1990. I used to walk to school. And I was actually out there not too long ago. And I have a niece that lives there, actually. And she's the same age that I was when I used to live there. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe, I just cannot. The little girl obviously does not walk to school by herself. But I did at that age. I was walking by myself. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I was walking at this age to school. But what is the one thing that I wish I had? Okay, so you give them something that you wish you had. Give them what they want by giving them what they need. That is exactly what I touched here. So you give them what they want by giving them what they need. That is really, if you can understand that again, it's a game changer. It's a game changer in the sense that you're going to be able to spot different opportunities. You're going to listen to the way they speak. You're going to talk differently. You're going to have a better answer to give them. Why? Because you're focusing on exactly what they want, but you're actually going to give them what they need. Which brings me to my last point. And this is the last point that I want to touch. This is the world. Okay? This is the world. There are 7 billion people in the world. So this is what represents the 7 billion people around the world. That's the dot. Your job as an individual, as a content creator, myself as a content creator, I'm not going to touch 7 million people. I know that. And I'm okay with that. You have to be okay with that. But what if my dot, okay? Because you got to find your dot when you're selling a service, when you are looking for that individual, okay? Is finding your dot. Well, what if this dot right here was my dot? This is 7 billion people. And this is a little tiny dot. That little tiny dot could represent 1,000 people, 2,000 people, 1,000,000 people. 1,000,000 people towards the 7 billion, that's still a lot of people. 1,000,000 people. Think about that. So you become the king or the queen of the puddle. You are the one that gives them the content. You have your raving fans. You give them an irresistible offer. You give them a service that they're looking for. You help them with the bridge to get faster to where they want to be at. If you're selling a house, no different. If you're selling insurance, no different. Cars, whatever that is, it's a service that you're giving to them. So I invite you to start looking at it from the point of, I'm not selling them something, I'm giving them a service through giving them what they want, but giving them what they really need. So I invite you to really do that and look at it from that perspective, because once you can understand this concept of, you're giving them a service and you're in the sales business, you will agree with me that it just gives you a different perspective. But these are some of the ways that I personally learn. Now, some of them might not apply to you. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying, but apply mine even if you have something else working for you. This is what has worked for me. So I just want to share that with you. I'm looking for that person who is going to apply it, who is going to really understand that it's really more than a service. This is what I have learned. This is what has helped me. And I just want to give that to you. Again, these are some of the tools, some of the techniques that I have learned that I just wanted to share them with you. And I just want to give them to you in the hopes that you can apply them and that it may serve you in any single way. Now, the only thing I would request is that if you find some value, that you find that this content, has helped you, or that you think that you can share this with somebody else, all we ask you for is just like the video, subscribe to the channel, so that we can therefore give you more content, reach more people, reach out to you more often, so that therefore we can stay connected and see you succeed as well. And all of this, again, is with the hopes that you can apply them in any business. And again, guys, all of our social media is going to be down here, down below. Feel free to follow us, all of our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Go ahead and feel free to follow us. We would love to connect with you there. Anywhere that you might be in the world, go ahead and follow us. Because if I can do it, I am sure that you can do it as well. In any industry that you may be in, with the hopes that you may find value in it as well. With that being said, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.